Imagine walking through the silent halls of a mansion at 3 a.m. and seeing a small child scrubbing dishes with raw, tired hands. That child isn't just cleaning, she's sacrificing her childhood to help her struggling mother. But when a billionaire sees her, everything changes. What he does next will shock you and restore your faith in humanity. Stay tuned, because this story will touch your heart and show how one act of kindness can transform a life forever. It was 3 in the morning, and the city was silent except for the faint hum of street. Mr. Hamilton, a billionaire who was used to having everything he wanted, couldn't sleep. Something unusual caught his eye through the window of his mansion, a tiny figure hunched over in the kitchen, scrubbing dishes under the dim light. He blinked, certain he was dreaming. Who would be awake at this hour, doing chores? Curiosity overcame him, and he quietly walked closer. The closer he got, the more his heart sank. It was Leela, the maid's young daughter. Her small hands were raw and red from the soapy water, and her sleeves were rolled up to protect her clothes. Her face, illuminated by the pale kitchen light, was tired, yet she worked with relentless focus. She didn't notice him at first, too absorbed in her task. Mr. Hamilton had seen opulence, power, and luxury beyond imagination. Yet, this simple, the scene of a child working silently in the middle of the night, struck him deeper than any deal or wealth ever could. There was something haunting in the way she moved, careful, diligent, and burdened far beyond her years. He approached softly, trying not to startle her. "Lily, are you awake? Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice trembling with a mix of concern and disbelief. Lila looked up, startled, her eyes wide and glistening. I had to, sir," she whispered. "Mom, she's tired. I wanted to help." Mr. Hamilton froze. He had always known Leela's family struggled, but he never imagined a child sacrificing her sleep and missing school just to make life a little easier for her mother. The realization hit him like a cold wave. Here was a young girl, working in silence, while the rest of the world slept, carrying responsibilities no child should bear. For the first time, Mr. Hamilton felt a sharp pang of guilt and empathy, realizing that wealth and power meant nothing if you couldn't see the human struggle happening right under your roof. Lila's small hands trembled slightly as she put down the sponge. She looked up at Mr. Hamilton, her voice barely above a whisper. I skipped school today, sir. I had to help my mom." He blinked, taken aback. Skipping school? That didn't sound like Leela at all. She had always been a bright and curious child. But then he saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the way her little shoulders slumped as if carrying the weight of the world. Her story spilled out in broken sentences, each one tugging at his heart. Leela's mother worked tirelessly as a maid, cleaning homes from dawn until late at night. But even with her long hours, the money she earned barely covered rent, food, and school supplies. Some days she had to take a second job at the local bakery, leaving Leela alone at home. "I wanted to help my mum," Leela continued, tears brimming in her eyes. "She worked so hard. I woke up at midnight to wash the dishes and clean the house so she could rest. I didn't want her to be tired. I wanted to go to school, but we have to survive." Mr. Hamilton felt a lump in his throat. He had seen struggle before, but nothing like this, a child sacrificing her education, her sleep, and her childhood to lighten her mother's burden. For a moment, the room was silent, broken only by the soft sound of Leela's quiet sobs. Mr. Hamilton realized that he had been blind to the life of those who served him, so close yet so unseen. Here was a girl who deserved to learn, play, and dream, not scrub dishes in the middle of the night. In that instant, a decision formed in his mind. This wasn't just about compassion, it was about justice, about giving Lila the chance to live a life she deserved. He gently knelt to her level, his voice firm but kind. "Lila, you don't have to carry this burden alone. I promise you, things will change." For the first time in her life, Lila felt a flicker of hope, the possibility that someone saw her, truly saw her, and cared. The very next morning, Mr. Hamilton woke up determined. He couldn't stop thinking about Leela, a child forced to sacrifice her childhood, her education, and her sleep, just to help her mother survive. This was unacceptable, and he knew he had the power to make a real difference. He called his assistant and gave clear instructions. "We are going to change Leela's life today. No excuses." By mid-morning, Leela and her mother were invited to the mansion. Mr. Hamilton personally explained that Leela's education, her health, and her happiness were now his responsibility. He set up a full scholarship for Leela, covering school fees, uniforms, books, and even extra tutoring if needed. He also increased her mother's salary, ensuring she no longer had to work two exhausting jobs just to make ends meet. But he didn't stop there. Mr. Hamilton arranged for a professional helper to assist in the household, so chores and cleaning would no longer fall on Leela. He wanted the girl to sleep properly, go to school every day, and have a chance to simply be a child. The following week, Mr. Hamilton even visited Lila's school. He spoke to her teachers, ensuring they had everything she needed: a safe environment, emotional support, and encouragement to excel. "Lila," he said during his visit, "you don't have to work so hard alone. Your dreams are just as important as anyone else's. I promise, I'll help you reach them." Lila couldn't believe it. She had spent years feeling invisible, struggling quietly, and now someone with immense power was not only noticing her, but actively helping her. A sense of relief and hope washed over her for the first time in her young life. Mr. Hamilton watched her closely, feeling a profound shift within himself. He realized that true wealth wasn't measured by money or power. It was measured by the lives you touch and the opportunities you create. That tiny girl, working tirelessly in the dead of night, had unknowingly awakened the best part of him, compassion and action. Weeks passed, and life for Lila began to change in ways she had never imagined. For the first time, she woke up in the morning feeling rested, her tiny body no longer weighed down by endless chores. School became a place of excitement rather than a burden, and she began to smile with the freedom she had almost forgotten existed. Her teachers noticed the difference immediately. Lila was more attentive, more confident, and her natural curiosity began to shine. The tutoring sessions Mr. Hamilton had arranged helped her catch up on the lessons she had missed, and soon she was excelling in subjects that had once seemed impossible at home. Her mother could finally rest without worrying got unpaid bills or endless housework. With Mr. Hamilton's help and the professional assistant in place, the household ran smoothly, but most importantly, Lila's childhood was no longer stolen by survival. Lila began to dream bigger. She imagined a future where she could help other children who were struggling, just like she had. She started volunteering at her school and in her community, determined to spread the kindness that had changed her life. Even Mr. Hamilton noticed the change not just in Lila, but in himself. He had entered her life thinking he was helping a child in need, but in reality, her resilience, courage, and bright spirit had transformed him too. He realized that sometimes, the smallest acts of perseverance, like a girl washing dishes at 3 a.m., can awaken empathy, inspire action, and even shift the perspective of someone with immense power. One quiet evening, Lila looked in the mirror and whispered to herself, "I used to think life was only about struggles and tears. Now I see it can also be hope, joy, and dreams." From exhaustion and hardship, she had grown into a child full of potential, laughter, and strength, ready to embrace the opportunities life was finally giving her. And all it had taken was one person noticing her pain, one act of kindness, and her unwavering courage to keep moving forward. Lila's story soon became more than just a personal triumph. It became a lesson for everyone who heard it. A child who had worked silently in the dead of night, sacrificing sleep, school, and play, had reminded a billionaire and an entire community of the true value of empathy and compassion. Mr. Hamilton, once a man consumed by wealth and status, had discovered something far more important than money: the power of noticing, caring, and acting when someone is in need. Through Lila, he realized that true wealth lies in the lives we touch and the opportunities we create, not in luxury cars, sprawling estates, or endless bank accounts. For Lila, life was no longer defined by chores and hardships. She woke each day with hope, excitement, and the freedom to dream. Her education flourished, her laughter returned, and her mother could finally breathe easy, knowing her daughter's future was secure. But perhaps the most important change was in the ripple effect of kindness. Lila's courage, her willingness to help her mother despite her own struggles, inspired those around her. Neighbors began to offer support, friends stepped up to help, and even strangers were touched by her story. It was a reminder that one act of noticing and helping can spark a chain of positive change. Years later, Mr. Hamilton would often recall that 3 a.m. moment sight of a small girl working tirelessly under the kitchen light while the world slept. That image stayed with him as a symbol of resilience, hope, and the quiet strength found in unexpected places. The story leaves us with a simple but profound truth. Sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one person paying attention, one act of kindness, and the courage to believe in a better future. Lila's journey shows that even in the darkest hours, hope can shine, dreams can grow, and lives can be transformed forever. Her story is a reminder that heroes are not always the powerful or famous. Sometimes, they are children with big hearts, unwavering determination, and the courage to keep going.